Hello, this is my generative audio and visual composition. I started by making 5 generative instruments that run off of a transport, and I knew I wanted to use a transport because I wanted to use live steps that were quantized to monitor or to control the frequency, amplitude, and then data of some of these instruments. And I also wanted to be able to make random lists of subdivisions, and then per beat nth the heck out of them, and then check their index value. And if it's 1, open the gate and then pass the audio through to the master analysis section. My second instrument works in the same way with the live step, and it's checking per quarter note instead of per 16th. And when it's passed through, it's also applying an envelope to it. There's a bandpass filter tracking the MIDI value, MIDI pitch. My third instrument is a drone, but it's about anything but a drone because it changes pitch. It picks a glide time, picks a transposition level, and then takes that long to get to that transposition level. When it reaches it, picks a new one. So it's constantly moving, and it has this amplitude modulation on the actual playhead of the live dial, or of the live gain here, and that is used in the jitter operations. I'm also applying a bunch of filters to this tone because it's just a triangle wave. So in different frequency bands, there are some band stop filters with different cutoff frequencies, different quality factors, kind of being randomized, actually. My last 2 instruments are noise-based, and the first one is applying amplitude modulation per beat to regular pink noise, and then sending that pink noise through a delay line that is changing the delay time based off the marimba's frequency. So that's kind of a cool relationship that makes some interesting outcomes. It's then passed through 2 different filters. One of the filters is just a low pass filter, which is sent through the rest of the output. So some random overdrive, and then out as what we hear as noise. And then the second filter is recorded into a buffer, and then I use that buffer in a groove object in a resampling noise instrument, which the cycle that's driving that groove is also picking the start and stop loop points of the groove. So that is what I labeled as noise or wind instrument, because it's much lower and it passes through a bandpass filter. My last audio section is like a main mixdown, so it's receiving all of those audio streams and then sending them all through these C verbs, which is a reverb, and then these delay lines, and then the feedback loops. So the only one that's not is my droning instrument, which is getting sent to this gate, and either being sent to the verb or the reverb, or the overdrive. So it's completely skipping the like regular mix of everything else. Instead of using presets and then morphing through them, I decided to use like really long interval metronomes to control some of these bigger parameters. This one is set to be either 20 milliseconds or 25 seconds, and it changes the gain of all of the tracks between -20 and 0, I think. So it really changes the sound of the composition and like the feel, along with the next one, which is a reverb. So every 24 seconds, it randomizes the reverb amount, and this reverb is very distinct, so it definitely changes the timbre. Every 30 seconds, I get a decision, and that decision is whether the the drone is being sent through the reverb or through the overdrive, like through the separate mix. It's also applying a new delay line, so this really does change. It's kind of defines a new section of the composition because it's such a radical change. My last section is kind of combining it all and making a video audio reactive. And it's taking this first video is like the main video, and it's following like the main instrument, which is that droning instrument, and it's following the LFO of its amplitude. So when you hear the droning pitch, you're going to see this video. So this video is going to come in and out like an LFO. And then the second one, which is labeled waves, it sounds like an ocean. This noise instrument sounds like an ocean. So when you hear it, this amplitude will rise and the waves will appear. It's actually going to alpha blend into the mix. So the zooming, each of these videos are zoomed before they're blended together, and they're like randomly zooming, but the rate at which they zoom, like the drunk rate, is controlled by the pitch of the drone. So as that drone pitch increases, the drunkenness gets more sporadic. I'm then blending those two together. I'm blending the blue channel of the first video to the alpha channel of the second video. And then I'm taking the second video, I'm introducing a third video. I am alpha blending the blue channel of the second video to the alpha channel of the third video, whose like brightness and appearance is also following the drone LFO, so the main instrument. So that main composite of the first alpha blending situation with the second alpha blending situation are then both cut up in the scissors object and then pass through these gates, which are receiving the scrambled list of 0 to 3. So there aren't any like repeats or blank spaces in this 4x4 grid. And then it's gluing them back together. So and then every time my marimba hits a MIDI value of 66, it will switch this G switch and completely bypass this whole scissors section and my second alpha blending. So the whole second video and third video alpha blending will be like cut out of the mix, and it will just play the first video, the first alpha blending composite right here. And that is then sent to be zoomed constantly by the droning frequency. And then whenever the marimba is more than half of its potential volume or amplitude, changing where the video is zooming on. So changing where the zooming focus point is, the anchor point. I'm introducing a fourth video that follows the vocal formant instrument that I have, and will fade out that mix and bring this one in its place when that gain is introduced. And since this one's a quarter note that's maybe not going to play, this one's much less often. So I have this one tinted differently and X faded instead of alpha blended together. My last effect is taking that noise, or taking that last instrument, the wind instrument, and however loud it is, its gain, its amplitude, it's applying some blur. So it's like the windiness correlates to blurriness of the whole video. I think that's all, actually. I think I should just be quiet and maybe play my piece. With that, thank you.